Once you've finished working in TV Studio 2, you need to reset it to default starting conditions, so it is ready for the next group using the studio. Whether you're working on the news set or the talk show set, you'll need to reset the entire space to its default condition.
Default! Woohoo! The two sweetest words in the English language. Default, default, default!
Make sure you've cleaned up all of your props, set decorations, and other materials. All of the talk show set furniture should be on the riser, and 2 news set chairs should be behind the news desk. Pack up any lavalier mics you've used. Unscrew the housing and remove the battery. Once you've removed the battery, then screw the housing closed. Carefully detach the clip from the mic by applying a small amount of pressure to the metal rim. Pack the mic, clip, and battery in the case. The number on the case should match the number on the microphone. Neatly coil the cable. Don't just throw it in the case. The best way is to loosely wrap it around your hand. Never wrap the cable around the microphone. Don't forget to take the clip and the battery and put them in the case as well. Take the packed mic case and any XLR cables you've used and return them to the storage room. Note that wireless mics should be returned to the audio rack in the control room, not storage. Once you take a left into the storage room, you'll see all the XLR cables hanging on the wall. If you used any gaffer's tape, hang it just under the XLR cables. Hang the XLR cables on the wall hook and put the lav mic case on the shelf just behind the cables. The other audio item you'll need to put away is the Floor Manager headset and belt pack. Take both behind the talk show set wall just before the doors to the storage room. There you'll see the hanging rack for the belt pack and space for the headset. Don't forget about the Floor Manager cable. It should be pulled behind the wall, but not in a mess of tangled spaghetti. Neatly coil the cable and place it below the headset and belt pack. Studio lights should be turned off after shooting, and the house fluorescent lights can be left on. There are several ways to turn off the studio lights depending on how they were turned on. The most common way is by using submasters. In the bottom left section of the control board, bring down any of the submaster faders. If you see individual light faders are up, bring them down as well. Sometimes cues are used to run lights. To fade down the lights brought on by a cue, you will need to run cue number 1. To do this, go to the Cues and Programming section of the board. Push the cue button, followed by the number 1, and then the Go button. After running cue 1, you can push the clear buttons on each cue stack, then bring down all 4 cue faders as well as the master. Once again, the sequence is cue 1, go. You can do that for both cue stacks if you need to. Push clear on both cue stacks, bring down all 4 cue faders, and bring down the master fader. You can also check to see that there are no running cues and no running lights on the status screen for the control board. Next to the lighting board is the teleprompter. If you used it, save your work, which you should have already done, and then go to the right-hand side of the program and click the lower X to close the script. This brings you back to the original rundown view. Click the lower X again to close the rundown, saving if you need to. You can leave the prompter program running with no files open. Be sure to log out of any email accounts and close any other open programs, and turn off the light. The studio cameras need to be reset as well. First, loosen the pan lock at the back of the camera mount by rotating it counterclockwise or to the left. Then loosen the tilt lock in the same direction. And bring the camera back to horizontal. Engage the locking pin by pushing it in. Now you should be able to pan the camera, but not tilt it. If you pedestaled up or down, bring the camera back to its original position. Remember that the pedestal locks are above and below each other for easy reference. When the lower pedestal is all the way up, and the upper pedestal is all the way down, you've made it back to the default position. Make sure both pedestal adjustments are locked. Camera cables should be coiled neatly, not so much like this. Separate out all of the camera cables. For each camera and cable, make a figure 8 pattern with the cable just behind the camera, leaving the end connected to the camera at the top of the cable pile. Some cables are longer than others, and depending on camera location, you may not be able to get more than one figure 8. If you are setting up for shooting on the newscast set, push the talk show riser all the way back about 6 inches from the wall. Cameras should be set up with camera 1 on the left, 3 in the middle, and 2 on the right. Notice how all of the cables are behind the cameras. The LCD floor monitor stand should be put back on its marks. If you are setting up for shooting on the talk show set, move the talk show riser until it is on its marks, roughly 3 feet away from the back wall. There are no marks at the front of the riser, only at the back where they won't be seen on camera. Put the floor chucks or wedges in every side of the riser to keep it from moving. Do not put a chuck along the front of the riser. The wall boards for the talk show set are removable and should be remounted as part of the reset procedure. If you've been paying attention to this video, you probably have already figured out that this is a very poor example of how to leave the microphone, IFB, video, and power cables at the back of the talk show set. To avoid this, coil everything neatly, and the next group won't have to waste their time untangling your mess. If you change the bottom window light gels, take off your gel sheets and put back the default yellow sheets by clipping them to the wall panels with the mounted C47s or clothespins. Do not attempt to change the upper window light gels from their default blue. For shooting on the talk show set, cameras should be placed beside and behind the newscast desk. Camera 2 is on the left, camera 3 is behind the desk, and camera 1 is on the right. Note that the cameras are all in front of their cables, with camera 1's cable going in front of the desk. Please refer to this video as needed to make sure you know the proper procedures for resetting Studio 2 to its default conditions.